Anne of Green Gables, Chapter 4. Marilla makes a decision. Marilla and Anne finally arrived at Mrs. Spencer's house. Mrs. Spencer came to the door with a look of surprise. "Dear, dear," she said, "you're the last folks I thought I'd see today. How are you, Anne?" "I'm as well as can be expected, thank you," Anne said quietly. "There's been a mistake," Marilla said. "We told Robert that we wanted a boy." "You don't say," said Mrs. Spencer. "Robert's daughter Nancy brought the message. She said you wanted a girl." "Well," Marilla said, "the mistake's been made. Won't the orphanage take Anne back?" "I suppose so," Mrs. Spencer said. "But Mrs. Blewett was here and wants a girl to help her. She has a large family. Anne will be the very girl for her." Marilla had never met Mrs. Blewett, but everyone knew that she was mean and stingy. Servant girls told terrible tales of her children. Marilla wasn't sure she wanted to give Anne to such a family. "There's Mrs. Blewett now," Mrs. Spencer cried. "How lucky! We can settle this right away." Anne stared at Mrs. Blewett. Was she really going to be given to this unsmiling woman? Her eyes filled with tears. "It seems there's been a mistake, Mrs. Blewett," Mrs. Spencer said. "Mr. and Miss Cuthbert wanted to adopt a boy, not a girl. Yesterday you said you needed a girl to help you. I think this one will be just right for you." Mrs. Blewett looked at Anne from head to foot. "If I take you," Mrs. Blewett said, "you'll have to be a good girl. Good and smart and respectful. I'll expect you to earn your keep and make no mistake about that." Mrs. Blewett turned to Marilla. "Yes, I might as well take her off your hands. If you like, I can take her right now." Marilla looked at Anne and knew she could not give her away. "Well, I don't know," Marilla said. "Matthew and I may want to keep Anne after all. I just came over to find out how the mistake had been made. I think I'd better take Anne home again." Anne and Marilla climbed back into the buggy. "Did you really say you might let me stay at Green Gables?" Anne asked. "Or did I just imagine that you did?" "I think you'd better learn to control that imagination of yours," Marilla said. "I haven't made a final decision yet." "Oh, I'll do anything you want if you keep me," Anne said meekly. When they arrived back at Green Gables, Marilla told Matthew what had happened at Mrs. Spencer's. "I wouldn't give a dog I liked to Mrs. Blewett," Matthew said. "I don't like her style myself," Marilla admitted, "and since you seem to want to keep Anne, I'm willing." The next day, Marilla told Anne that she could stay. "What should I call you?" Anne asked. "You'll just call me plain Marilla. I'm not used to being called Miss Cuthbert. It would make me nervous." "It sounds disrespectful to just say Marilla," said Anne. "Not if you speak respectfully," Marilla said. "Everybody in Avonlea calls me Marilla." But Anne had another question. "Do you think I'll have a best friend in Avonlea?" she asked. "I've dreamed of having a best friend all my life." "Diana Barry lives nearby. She's about your age," Marilla said. "She's a very nice little girl. You'll have to behave yourself when you meet her. Mrs. Barry won't let Diana play with any girl who isn't nice and good." Anne's face lit up. "What is Diana like?" she asked. "I hope her hair isn't red. It's bad enough to have red hair myself. I'd hate it if my best friend had red hair too." "Diana is very pretty," Marilla said. "She has black hair and eyes and rosy cheeks, and she is good and smart. That's better than being pretty." "I'm so glad Diana is pretty," Anne said, "because I know I'm not pretty myself. It will be wonderful to have a beautiful best friend." A little while later, Anne was in her room sitting on a chair by the window. "I'm going to imagine that I'm beautiful," Anne said to herself. "I'm tall, and I'm wearing a white lace gown. There are pearls in my dark hair." Anne ran to the mirror and looked at herself. Her freckled face and gray eyes peered back at her. "You're not beautiful. You're only plain Anne of Green Gables," Anne said. "But it's much nicer to be Anne of Green Gables than Anne of Nowhere, isn't it?"